Hey, I'm Renee the Realtor. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm here to give you your weekly market update with the real estate market here in the Phoenix area. Now, before we get rolling, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and please share this channel with your family and friends, especially if you're new to this channel or if you are a returning visitor and you have yet to subscribe. Please click that subscribe button. I so appreciate your support. And also a huge thank you to those who have already subscribed and who watch on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Now, before we get into our numbers for this week, I do want to talk about some trends that I'm noticing with the data. First, our supply. Now, this time of the year is typically slow. It slows down because the holidays are coming up and, people get busy. And so it does slow down. So our supply trend is showing that. It is starting to slow down. It is on a downwards trend. Like I said, it's typical for this time of the year. Now, as far as our demand goes, real quick, the closed sales count for November so far is down over 12% when we compare that to November of 2020. However, when we consider our listing counts, as far as the number of listings under contract, that is up over about 2% from last month. And then also our pending listings are up about 4% from last month. So these numbers are up. So what this is indicating is that demand is strengthening, but our closings are taking a little longer. It's taking just a little bit longer to close on homes, but demand is rising again. So we're seeing supply go down, demand increasing. It's still a seller's market. It's trading more of a seller's market. But let's talk about how this impacts our Cromford Market Index. Now, if you haven't watched my market update videos before, I talk about the Cromford Market Index. And what the index or the Cromford Market Index tells us is there a balance in the market. If it's a seller's market, if it's a buyer's market, or if it's as normal as possible. It has been a seller's market for quite some time now. Now, with these trends that we're seeing with supply and demand, we are seeing that the Cromford Market Index is going higher, okay? And so what we can expect from that is that home prices will go up. For example, we've seen so far during November that the average price per square footage has rose to a massive 4%, okay? And so this indicates that prices will go up, okay? Now, I know there's that old saying that what goes up must come down. Unfortunately, that does not apply to home prices. Home prices are affected by supply and demand. So let's take a look at this chart real quick. This is our Cromford Demand Index and Cromford Supply Index. So the blue line represents our supply index, and the red line represents the demand index. So what I have highlighted in yellow is that time frame where the market crashed, okay, 2008, 2007. So you see the supply index was way above 100, it actually was over 200, and our demand index was below 100. Supply was outrunning demand at the time, which caused our home prices to go down. Now, when you compare that to what I have circled in the green, which is, the last 2020 and this year, 2021 so far, you see that the demand, which is over 100, and supply is below 100. So demand is high, supply is low. That is going to increase prices. So if you're looking for prices to decrease, you have to see demand higher. You have to see supply higher than you do demand. That's when you're going to see home prices come down. So we're not anticipating that home prices will go down anytime soon, okay? We can't predict the future, but what we're seeing so far, home prices are not going to go down. So I just wanted to share that with you. All right, now let's talk about our monthly median sales price for the greater Phoenix area, all dwellings. This is as November 11th. The monthly median sales price so far is 420,000. This is unchanged from last month. It was 420,000 for October. Okay, so no change there. Now, when we look at that number, just for single family homes only, so far in November, as of November 11th, it is 444,870. When we compare that to October, it was 442,000. So just a slight increase there. Now, I always try to give you a West Valley City to look at. I know there was one week that I didn't give you West Valley City, but for the most part, I try to give you West Valley City. So we are definitely going to look at a West Valley City today or this week, and we're going to focus on Peoria. So the monthly median sales price for Peoria for all dwellings as of November 11th was 465,000. Now, when we compare that to October, it was 452,825. So we do see an increase there. Okay, so another piece of information that I would like to share with you this week, and actually let's pull this chart up, is our year-to-date dollar volume. Okay, so if you see here, the red arrow is 2020. So our year-to-date volume, dollar volume for 2020 was $32 billion. Now, so far in 2021, which is the green arrow, is $43.3 billion. So that's about $11.3 billion difference. Just goes to show that Phoenix has just really been a hot market this year. It was a hot market in 2020, and it's a hot market this year as well. So I just wanted to point that out so you can see what those numbers really look like as far as the dollar volume. Hot market, and I just talked about how demand is increasing again. Demand is increasing again. So it is still a hot market, still a seller's market. So. All right, so another piece of information, our Cromford Market Index, which we always talk about during our market update. I kind of talked about this already, all right? Our Cromford Market Index gives us a balance in the market. If this number is greater than 100, it is a seller's market. If this number is lower than 100 or less than 100, it's a buyer's market. So right now, as of November 8th, the Cromford Market Index is 348.8. I'm going to round that up to 349, okay? Way above 100, still a seller's market, still a seller's market, and we kind of talked about that already with the supply and demand. So let's talk about supply and demand, which we already talked about a little bit, just to give you the numbers, okay? Our demand index so far, now this is just for the Phoenix area, so far as November 4th is 104. If this number is above 100, demand is, there's more demand than normal. So it's 100, it's close to 100, but we're seeing an increase in demand anyway. Our supply index still way below 100, it's 31.5. So demand is outpacing supply, still a seller's market. Okay, so real quick, I want to share with you guys an article that I read on CNBC this week. And it talked about how home prices are outpacing income. Now, we know we've seen home prices go up, but what this article talked about was really interesting to me. So take a look at this. In the last decade, the median home price rose roughly 30%, and incomes crept up just about 11% over the same time period. Now, over 50 years, the difference is even more striking. After accounting for inflation, home prices have jumped 118% since 1965, while income has only increased by 15%. Like, that is a huge discrepancy there. Like I said, we know we've been seeing home prices increase, but our incomes have not been keeping up with that, especially with inflation. So this article goes on to talk about how much home that you should afford based on how much home you can afford based on your income. So it says here, to afford a home in 2021, Americans need an average income of $144,192, far more than the median household income of $69,178. So I thought that was just really interesting. So if you are considering buying, rather it be next month, next 3 months, next 6 months, just make sure that you save, okay? Because I tell my clients all the time, you don't want to be house poor. Buying a home is expensive, and you want to make sure that you account for all of the expenses, okay? Down payment, closing costs, moving costs. You also want to have an emergency savings, for any emergencies. So just keep that in mind. Our home prices, as we see so far, are not going to go down. They're going to continue to rise. And unfortunately, our income is not rising along with it, especially with inflation. So like I said, if you're on the market to buy, if you're considering buying, just make sure that you save, okay? I want you guys to keep your house. You worked so hard to get it. I want to make sure that you keep it, okay? As always, if you ever have any questions or concerns, drop a comment below. And we'll see you next time. I'm Renee, the Realtor. Thanks for tuning in.